Now let's talk about some things to expect when you're renting out a rental property. Number one thing to expect is the unexpected. And by that I mean the unexpected expenses. Like I talked in the previous segment, I had raccoons get into the attic of one of our properties. It cost me $600 to get them out. So that's an unexpected expense. You're not in your budget every year saying, okay, mortgage, property taxes, evicting raccoons. So that's something to consider as well when it comes to those expenses. If you buy a detached property, those unexpected expenses will be more, and they will be more often. Because remember, you own a house, this is your first investment property, you already own a property, you know you get unexpected expenses. So just expect that to be doubled. One rule of thumb that investors use, I even use it personally, for every square footage of the house, set aside $1 per year for maintenance. So if it's a 2,000 square foot house, I generally expect, okay, $2,000, that'll be my maintenance budget. And then it sort of balances out in the long run. Number two, one risk is picking the wrong tenant. I've been very fortunate. I'd say probably like 99% of the tenants out there are just great people looking for somewhere to live. I do a pretty intense screening process when it comes to picking tenants. I've never had an issue personally. I've been very lucky and found great people. They're actually amazing tenants, pay on time, very friendly, very easygoing. But I have heard horror stories from clients where they've picked the wrong tenant, and the next thing you know, you have somebody squatting in your house for 6 months because you didn't do the proper due diligence. So that's just something to consider. Expect that, you're gonna do your best to pick tenants, but expect that you might sometimes make the wrong decision. If you wanna know more about my screening process, drop a comment below, we'll reach out to you and I'll break it down exactly everything I do, or maybe we'll make a video on it next week or in the future. As well, if you're purchasing a multi-unit property, you wanna make sure that you're picking tenants that have good cohesion. So, one important thing to me was I didn't want to have like lots of animals in the houses, or if somebody didn't like animals or kids or stuff like that. You kind of want to pick tenants that are going to fit good together and get along. You want to pick nice people just because it makes it a lot easier with a multi-unit that you don't have complaints and you're dealing with politics in your unit. So that's a very important one. You don't have that issue with detached or condos, but more so you're going to get it if you own a multi-unit. So consider that those might be issues. Regular maintenance, I know we kind of talked about it with unexpected expenses, but there are expected expenses too, like regular maintenance. Furnace filter, you got to change your furnace filter every 3 months. So you got to make sure that that's getting changed every 3 months. Whether you're doing it or you have a tenant doing it, it's still something you want to keep an eye on, because at the end of the day, the mechanical system is your responsibility. If if it's not getting done and that furnace breaks or something happens, you got to do a new furnace, that's your expense. So you want to make sure that you are doing the regular maintenance in the house. I wouldn't rely so much on the people living there to do it unless you have that relationship with your tenant. I know some people, their tenants take care of the property better than I've seen some people take care of the houses they own. So it's all, very situational, but just expect that there's going to be that regular maintenance. And with that, you want to have quick response times to issues. Like if a tenant has a problem like the dryer broke and they text me at 10:30 at night, you want to get back right away to say, okay, I understand. And then you want to get on the phone with somebody to come and repair that dryer, because think about it. If you lived in a house and your dryer just stopped working, that's not the greatest thing. You want everything to be in working order as quick as possible. So you have to kind of have that customer service standpoint, which is quick response time. Okay, I'll deal with the issue. Be prepared for that. Don't be, if you're up somewhere on a Saturday at a cottage, you get a text from your tenant, be like, oh, I'll deal with it on Monday. Well, deal with it now, right? Just that's a proper thing to do. So expect that you're going to get those texts sort of all hours, and you will have to deal with it. Next, considering trades doing the work versus yourself. So I'm not a handyman. I usually hire trades to do everything. I just sent an electrician in to change all the smoke detectors at a house because I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't want to be fiddling around with it. So that's something you got to make the decision to. Are you handy? Are you going to do a lot of the work yourself because you'll save some money, or are you going to have to hire and bring in a professional to do the work for you? So expect that you're also not going to be able to repair everything yourself. Like if a dryer goes, you need an appliance repair guy, which I'm fortunate to have an amazing one. Stuff like that, something electrical goes, furnace, gas, all those things. You want to have people sort of on call, build a team of people that can respond to these issues. I have that team, and I find anytime I get an issue, it comes in, boom, I text my trade right away, and usually within 1 to 2 days, they're in there remedying the issue. So it's just something that you want to think about. Unless you're handy yourself and you can deal with it, then by all means, go ahead and do it. It's just not for me. As well, one thing to expect that we touched on previously is expect vacancies. It would be great if properties were just rented every month all the time. Unfortunately, you might run into situations where you have a little bit of layover time between tenants, so expect that you might have to float those 2 months rent. Me personally, I don't mind leaving a unit vacant for 1 month or 2 months if it's taking me a little bit of extra time just to sort of select somebody that I think will be a great fit for the unit. And to me, I'd rather lose that 1 month's rent than put somebody in there that might not pay rent for 6 months. So that's something to consider as well. I have a great screening process for tenants. I mentioned it in the previous segment. Again, if you want to know more about that, drop a comment. Super happy to help you with everything that I do.